Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 4 with D-Day's Common Units of World War II mod, which is a very nice mod. It really adds a lot to the game. I've been playing the 1.3 Together for Victory quite a bit this last week. Couple of games of it through a ways. Can't talk about it except for you've been seeing the development diaries. But what I will say is having been playing this for a while, and there's a lot of cool features that, again, as you've seen in the development diaries for the new version. But the lack of, everybody already sort of knows, or everybody does know, you don't have things like armored cars. Oh, bloody, you have half-tracks, but, armored cars, so you don't have some of the equipment types that you have here. You don't have some of the cool unit types, and that just sort of, if you will, a bit missing for me. When I sort of compare the two out. So, not that... Well, and it's more than just myself has commented on, shall we say, the lack of at least perceived detail, and I was just wanting to click the mini-map down there. I really wish Podcat would add that mini-map back in the game. I happen to know it can be done. Not saying it will be done or anything like that, but I know it can be done. And yeah, I think feedback was from the playtesters, the in-house guys, was that they didn't miss it, and they just didn't need that. But playing somebody like Americans, well, we're jumping over here, or the Brits jumping all over everywhere. It's just something I like. And yeah, since we can zoom out even farther and efficiently, it may not really be something that is necessary. Might be, and I could agree. Let's actually go here. So I can agree that it may not be necessary, but still it would be nice. Got 3 North divisions, armored divisions there. Hopefully we can hit hard on the flank here. So 1 division to Harv. So we get across the river. Yeah, I understand concentration of force, but I also got forces here that are split up a bit. There we are, concentrating back a bit. I want to try to overrun, outrun. There. Now we're back concentrating force. We've disrupted them. And when they collapse, of course, this is the problem with micromanaging things. Gotta jump around a lot. Try to get to Danzig some more. I'll kill that pocket as much as I can. That would be another nice pocket to kill. Push there. This guy pushes here. Yeah, that's a good. Combination. How are we doing down here? This is off to my forgotten front now. Oh, well, it did start the invasion here, I thought. No, it didn't. But we don't control enough of the naval functions is probably likely. Okay, well, what are my fleets doing? Well, it looks like we got the sea zones covered. Because all these were over. Oh, we've got... Let's cancel a few of these. Too many naval invasions or all at once. Oh, we still have a few more days. That's it. Oh, okay. I'm just being impatient. We got some units there? Yeah, okay. I want you to support that attack. Hitting got a lot of formations down here. They do for the bulk of the German army. It looks like it is instead of defending Germany. To us. Now you guys join in the fight. I am worried about if Germany surrenders and we're at war with the Soviet Union, which we are. They might start coming across there, but we'll deal with that when it happens. Okay, now it looks like these forces are broken. So let's see if we can... That's looking good. here, do they? Oh no. Keep clicking on units and they're not selecting properly. At least not as I'm intending them to select. We'll drive into Slovakia and see what we can do here. Well, let's drive here with you. Okay, well, let's drive everybody but one, because I want to hold there. Well, the Filipinos sent some reinforcements here. Well, good. Since it has been shown, I will say I love the new mechanic for colonies, dominions, puppet states, and they're, as Podcat says, I've not, so obviously you may expect me to have, I've not at all looked at any of the code for modding, but he says it's all moddable, as in, as if I understand it correctly, what each, maybe being able to add different levels or specialties setups is my understanding. Again, I haven't done it, so I could be wrong here, and I'm not giving out information that I don't, because I just don't know, just because he says it's fully moddable. So that you should be able to, like, if you want to, again, I haven't looked, like Slovakia here, you could presumably create a special status for this as opposed to one of the standard statuses if you want to do it. I know somebody was, and first I thought, yeah, that'd be cool, then I go, no, it wouldn't, and maybe it would. It was sort of, for Bohemian Moravia occupation, is create that as a puppet state, because it was sort of a puppet state, but it was sort of German occupation, integration. It was, but you could do something sort of set up there. But since they never had any localized forces, where the concept is that whether it's the British Raj or some sort of puppet state, it's designed to be where you're creating local forces, you're recruiting local forces. Now, what you can do with it is, just let's theoretically say, if the Philippines is a puppet, which it is, of the U.S., and if it's set up with that, you can get one or more of their templates and then build a unit based on their template, and it would show up in their country, so that you build a Filipino unit. Generally speaking, it would be equipped with your equipment, so you would be using U.S. equipment, using Filipino manpower, and you would build this division, one of their templates, and you can't modify their templates. You have to just use their template as it is. At least that's my understanding of it. Could be wrong, but from what has been shown. So if I got all of that right, again, this is what's been shown, so that you can set that up so that you can have a lot, you can supply the forces out, because a certain amount of their factories, depending on the status, their effective output is given to the overlord, if you will, to the U.S. So it might be very difficult for the Filipinos to equip out a few more divisions, because their military factories are supplying, in essence, the United States with some factory points, but you can send out equipment, and so that you can send out equipment. If I have all this right, again, I haven't looked at all the mechanics and all this stuff, but higher grade equipment than they would be able to build. But if you're getting into a Dominion status, and you can of course build buildings in your territories, where you do have somebody like Australia, which is more of a Dominion type status as opposed to a puppet state, they get significant tech sharing, so that they can keep up for their own building program and don't have to rely upon production coming from the home countries. But still, you can send them equipment, lend lease them. So, and it can really work out best and historical. Again, I'm just, quite honestly, just haven't looked, so I don't know the details. But depending on the status, certain amount of the military and civilian, and I presume also naval, I just haven't looked, factories, certain amount of their production is given to the home country. And again, it varies on status, or your overlords. So, but, which is sort of good that way, and historical, and if any of you want to fight me on this, you can. I'd like to hear your reasoning. Is like the Australians built the Sentinel tank. Okay, it's a cool tank. It's an Australian sort of design. They were originally working off of some sort of British design, but they quickly changed it to an American. And my understanding is that and they built very few of the Sentinel tanks, but all of the Sentinel tanks used engines and drive chains, tracks and transmissions, and I think some of the whole parts from American production, whether it was the Sherman or the Grant. I think it was the Sherman, and so they were produced in the U.S. and shipped down here. And at this time, I don't know, and there may have been, I'm pretty sure there weren't in New Zealand, and you've seen probably the Bob Simple tank that being added to the game. I don't know that there was any automotive production in Australia, because to build engines, you have to be able to build an engine that can stand long-term high heat tolerances with the steel, and you just don't set that up anywhere. And I know Canada at the time was building engines and Ford up there, and I don't know how much of that was done during World War II as an American mobilized industry helping Canada versus how much it was done before. So my point is that Australia through this whole period did not have the ability to build a tank. It just did not have an ability to build a tank, in my understanding. I don't know that there were any automotive production. Now that doesn't mean they can't ramp up to automotive production. It's just that they don't have it. We're overstacked. Okay. Let's send these guys here. There we go. And deselect those. The garrison force. We'll send them up to here. And so they didn't have that, but they had some manufacturing capability, and they had labor force. So that, again, something like, I don't believe there was any aircraft produced in Australia during this time period. Now that doesn't mean that there weren't aircraft assembled in Australia. I just quite honestly don't know. But there's a big difference between getting your engine blocks and all of your basic components for your aircraft unassembled, just coming off the factory line as they produce the things, boxing them up and shipping them to Australia, maybe with some assembly, an engine sort of complete, and some of the stuff, and shipping them out here. And generally, completely disassembled aircraft are smaller, more efficient to ship, and ship them out here, whether it's an American design or a British design. Ship them out here, and then have a factory floor where you fully assemble. This is not like one of the things that's almost assembled, that they're just doing the final, but go through almost the whole assembly process in Australia, because that's a major workforce element. It takes both labor as well as a factory floor kind of set up to efficiently assemble an aircraft, and those things can be set up relatively easy in Australia. And this is what I think, because I know in some of the, like for Ford in Turkey, Turkey did not have a modern automotive engine production at this time, and I've done it. Ford did have a factory in Istanbul, and I've researched this, and I forget the guy's name who was sort of collating information about Turkey during this time. But they did have a factory set up, and what it would do is it would take, I presume, mostly Ford parts made in Germany, but maybe made in the U.S. I'm not sure. And they would ship them out there in crates, fenders stacked on top of each other and all this stuff. And it was a car assembly plant. So they weren't, I don't know, they may have made got some of the components and assembled the seats for the cars, things like that. But all the major body elements, all of the major automotive drivetrain type elements, the frames and all of that were entirely assembled, were made outside of Turkey and were assembled in Turkey. It was a limited success because they were hoping to get more sales outside of Turkey as well as within Turkey. And so it would keep some of the overhead costs down by doing it in Turkey as components. And that's what I think, if whatever automotive type assembly that was going on for Australia was doing things like that for aircraft or for like the Sentinel tanks, and now they were casting turrets and they were doing some elements of production for the Sentinel tank. But I think all the machine guns for this, well, they did have Lithgow arsenal. That was a good arsenal in Australia, making rifles and machine guns. But I think the main guns on the Sentinel were British main guns, or maybe they were American design. I don't know for sure. So that they were importing a lot of these elements and then producing a tank with them. And so the idea here, and get back to my original sort of point, is that sending off some of your military IC and civilian IC effectiveness to your overlord country sort of represents this, and then if they are sort of lend-leasing you back some fighter aircraft, that is very realistic in that it sort of matches up to being they're sending you fighter aircraft that are final assembly here in Australia. So say if half of your military IC goes to England, but if England is efficiently sending you aircraft, it's cheaper for England. It balances out and it makes it sort of historical, I guess I should say. And I don't know if I'm saying that well, but that's what this whole new mechanism and expanded off of what is currently set up is doing. And that really no see if we can take out Slovakia by taking out its capital. That was nice to see that they had a militia force in their capital, because that represents a basic. And now we're going to strike Vienna. Slovakia has capitulated. Okay. Oh, France. Expedition. Ooh, okay. We'll accept that. Don't know where they will be. We'll figure that out shortly. The German Reich has capitulated. Okay. Now, I'm going to send forces to this border as fast as I can to minimum stabilize things. Hopefully, we'll see. Well, let's see what we can take advantage here with Italy and its lack of preparedness for a collapse of the German Reich. You come, yeah, that's alright. Let's see if we can get into Gauze. And they've just lost a massive amount of their forces here, so let's see what we can do. France is now sort of back with us as a nation again, even though they just gave us a bunch of forces. Forces guarding Paris. Is that not us? Looks like us. The U.S. Oh. Yeah, alright, Canada. We'll take that. Well, if we can, we're taking Budapest. Let's try overrunning there a bit. Hungary has capitulated. Well, good. Well, we're controlling this. Can we build radars here? Oh, good. Don't know how far east we want to do that because they may get occupied quickly. But hey. Well, I think we're going to end the session here. Come back for more. Well, thank you for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. Of course, come back for more Hearts of Iron next time.